Welcome to DJN TV and Tuesday Night with Ben Stowe. Now introducing the one and only Ben Stowe.
Yeah, baby. Yeah.
Hey, it is Tuesday night. And what happens on Tuesday night is one of those things that the world has been wondering for quite a long time. They've checked around and they've been investigating and they're thinking, what could be the coolest thing to happen? And that would be to spend time with Ben Stowe. And now we've done that. So
I have no response for that. I don't know.
And now we've done it. So good night, everybody. Oh,
yep, that's our show.
That was a show. I hope you enjoyed it. This is great. That's great. So tonight's show, Ben, it's just one of our short ones because, you know, Big Daddy wants to do something, whatever. You know, who's Big Daddy? Wait till he does something big, you know. But for our short little show tonight, what I asked Ben to do is basically I've got a couple of outdoor events that are happening, and we're going to be doing sound in multiple locations, which is very, very common when you're doing sound for a ceremony at a private residence, where they'll be doing different aspects around. And I wanted to be able to have some ideas of how to have good quality sound and do some different things with that. And it's like, Ben, can you give us some suggestions and tips? Because I'm not the only one who's doing that. Many of you are out there doing similar things, and you're asking, it's like, you know, what do I need to make this work? So it's like, Ben, tonight we're going to address that, and it's going to be epic.
All right.
Or something.
Or something, yeah. Well, I think, you know, I mean, it's awfully early in the show to drop, and it depends, but...
Wow! We're like 93 seconds in.
Yeah. Well, that's our show. You know? So I have a confession to make. My wife is a terrible enabler. She's not good for my Star Wars habit at all. She brought these home tonight, and I've eaten about half a pack, and so I am like, you know, when you get a sugar high, and then after that you get the sugar crash.
Yeah, you're in the crash.
I'm on the crash.
So in other words, you need to be hitting the Oreos hard right now.
That's right. I'm going to be pounding the Oreos during the show. But in case you're wondering, I'm on the light side. Mine are on the light side. So anyway, well, I've got this graphic that you gave me, and I think I'll just pick one here. You've got it's called River Weddings. Let me just pull that up, and let's just kind of talk through it because, and I really kind of doing this like off the cuff, as it were, right?
And
because I think that's
I think what happens a lot to us is that, you know.
And you did send these to me with plenty of time, but you know, and I did look at it, but I really thought, you know, I'm not going to spend a lot of time contemplating. I'm going to do this just sort of conversationally with you, because I think that, you know, while you've called out some things with names here, it doesn't really answer all my questions. And one of those questions would be, okay, so we need sound in some of these various areas, but is it the same sound? Mm-hmm. You know, for me, my first thought, let's just try to do some markup stuff here. But my first thought was, okay, we got the DJ dance area here. I think we need a
thicker line.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. There. So we got our, you know, dance area here, and let's just, for the sake of fun, I guess we'll make that whatever. Anyway, then we've got our ceremony somewhere down here. We got this barn, so I don't know, maybe the ceremony is going this way, but we don't know that, right? Mm-hmm. But in my mind, this would be different sound anyway. You know, what I'm hearing for the ceremony is not going to be the same as the DJ. So really, I would just treat that as two separate rigs. Mm-hmm. I would say that's two separate systems. They're air gapped from each other, and that's that. Now, let's say that we've got the tent and the meal going on. Let's just cheat and let's just copy paste, right? And we got that going on up here. And we'll say that we do want this to be the same sound or from the same sound source as the DJ and the dance, right? Okay. Well, we'd have to think about, you know, ingress, egress, traffic lanes, that sort of thing. But to me, if the DJ's up here, this seems like a really easy way to just get a speaker around the corner. You know, we could just sneak a speaker or two around the corner. And once we have things like a tent or even the building structure, we can use that to support and conceal cable. Things get a little bit harder though if you said, yeah, but we also want that same sound down here for the patio view for
Yep.
whatever reason, you know? In which case, I think we'd probably go with something wireless. You know, we've got some wireless speaker systems that we use for, IEMs. There's a few variety options out there. I think maybe, if we said, well, power is a problem here, then there's great solutions like the eVerse 8 or the eVerse 12, which, by the way, before I completely fall asleep from my sugar crash here, did you know we're giving away an eVerse 12?
I saw that. I saw that come across my feed here. I think either it was an email or it was in the on social media there. So I was going to ask about that actually to talk a little bit about that this evening.
Yeah, well, I think you're eligible to win. I think you're eligible to enter, but more importantly, viewers, if you haven't entered to win this Everse, I'm not entirely sure how we're doing it. I just saw that our marketing department is giving it away, and I kind of went, oh, all right. So good for you, bad for me. Anyway, but I think there's a variety of different ways you can enter. I think they've got a few different things you can do. You can, like a post or something, and you can get multiple entries to win. So
Rub your
anyway,
tummy and
moral of the
pat your
story.
forehead. That one.
I think so. Yeah, I
Yeah,
don't
I
know.
think
I really
that's.
don't.
I mean, that's a legitimate skill, isn't it? I mean,
I
it's on my
yeah,
resume.
yeah, I think
Patting
anyway.
your head and rubbing your tummy. Gosh, I mean, that's what I went to college for.
I was a drummer, so I can do all kinds of different things with
Oh,
my
you could do it
hands. But yeah,
both hands, left or right.
I mean, I'm a lousy drummer, but I was a drummer, so So and again, we could sort of treat it like that, where if we said, we've got a wireless battery powered speaker here, we've got something like the Everse or something like the Wave 8, and it's got a wireless transmitter you can get with it, or I'm really a fan of UHF based like IEMs, things like that.
Hmm.
If you have to go a long distance, if we have to, we're worried about maybe getting around the building here. I think that's the direction I would go. There's a lot of other options that people would recommend. Certainly, one of the really popular ones now would be like the Shure SLXD 35, which of course we carry, or the Sennheiser EWDP, which of course we also carry. And I think that if you were to say which one should I use, then we're going to drop another. It depends. So
Hmm.
time for a conversation with myself or one of my colleagues about what you're going to do and what your budget is, and we can help guide you there.
Sure.
And then I don't really know what's going on here with games and social, but I think it would be, I think sort of the takeaway from this right now is let's just pretend you're the client. I'm going to have to do some fact finding.
Hmm.
I'm going to have to do what we would call in the touring world an advance. But basically, that's finding out things in advance, and I would say, well, John, tell me about what you want happening here. Tell me about the experience you want for the guests. And then I'm going to ask questions about things like, well, tell me about where you have power, and you could say, well, we've got power here, but OPS, it's also being used by the caterers and they're 15, warming. Okay, well, that's not going to work,
Right.
right? So, for me, I think I want to try to avoid surprises,
Hmm.
and having an aerial shot like this is great. I actually literally was practicing what I was about to preach without even realizing it, but I had a meeting today for an outdoor festival, and we had this meeting, and there was literally, I don't know, 35 or 40 people in this meeting, and there was no map, there was no plan.
Mm.
So, I went to Google and I took a satellite shot and I got my scale and I started dropping things in. Here's
Yep.
stage A, here's stage B, here's generator one, here's generator two, here's a couple of the green room tents, here's the porta potties,
Yeah.
right?
It's all
So
part of it. Yeah.
and they started asking things like, power. And I said, well, don't worry about us because we got two 230 kVA generators you're providing us, and nobody else gets to touch those. Those are for us. Okay, so we're good on power. But in this case, are you on a generator? Are you on shore
Right.
power? Who else is using it? What is the capacity there? I think we've all heard this line when I was DJing. I can't tell you how many times I would hear a venue say, well, another DJ used it last week. I don't care. You
Hmm.
know, don't know anything about that DJ, but I know what I need, right?
Yeah.
So anyway,
So yeah, just a couple of things I can give you because of doing a site visit with this is the only spot that really has power is literally where the DJ, there's a little patio there. There's an
hmm
outlet there. There's a 20 amp outlet. That's it. The only outlet that I
mm,
have access to. with that. So there's the one spot right up in that, yeah, literally between the top, by the top of the D on that one. Beyond that, the games are going to be around the side of the house. So they're basically, if you north being up, they're from basically the word games and up in there.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, that's going to be, and they were talking about having a variety of different yard games up and going that direction. Yep. And then that social area, they were going to be bringing in tables, little patio tables from all the family members. So it's little round tables with the 4 chairs type of thing. And they were going to be hunkering them under the trees. Now, the distance from the DJ area to that area is probably looking at, to get under those trees, is about 120 feet, maybe. It's a decent shot. And my concern with that area is we're getting on to the point is that we may not have enough sound coming off the dance area during that cocktail, during that social hours time frame where you want to have that encompassing music. So that's why the conversation of how to do this becomes important, because obviously once the dance starts, the main sound system is going to be able to be heard all around the yard, but not during the cocktail because we're not that loud.
Well, I think this might be another scenario where we could do a wireless. Again, depends on if there's traffic lanes here. We can also do things like cable ramps, and we'll have to be mindful of where people are going, where food carts might have to go, where vehicles are going to go. Does it have to be an ingress egress for, ADA compliancy, and then if so, then we have to have the ADA compliant cable ramps. Maybe wireless is the better option here, right? Just maybe not, right? I don't know.
Yeah, it definitely looked like there was a lot of traffic areas, because just around the house, just to the left of where the tent is, that's where the porta potties are going to be. And there's a major walkway between the tent and the house. So there, and the patio, there's a major walkway that is going to be accessing the tent. And then, of course, going the other direction, you've got the games and things, and there's really no way to run a cord without throwing it like up and over the house. And that just didn't seem like a really good idea. As I was looking at it, it's like,
No, probably not.
no, not so much.
So I think, again, you'll have to represent your client here in this scenario, but as a soon-to-be father of the bride, as we're closing in on the final weeks before my daughter's wedding, I'm mindful of the things that are important to us as a family. And obviously sound is important to me, right? But so is the ability to escape it. And, I might say, well, if they want to dance, this is where the dance is. And if they want to escape that, maybe we don't want music up here for the games. Maybe we want people to be able to, I'm sorry, DJs, it isn't all about you, the social area might be a good example. I might say, gosh, I haven't, especially, COVID and all that, whatever, I haven't seen my uncle in 5 years, maybe I want to go visit, now, maybe not, right? And I think that's where the client drives the bus here. If the client says, yeah, we want to be able to hear announcements over here. We want to have, music from the social area. And there are some things you could do if you're using an external mixer. You could maybe say, I'm only going to feed the mic into the social area. I'm not going to feed the DJ music. I'm going to just use an aux bus on my external mixer, and I'm only going to feed the announcement mic over there so people can hear those announcements, because they're like, oh, I really didn't want to miss the garter toss or the bouquet toss, or, I don't know. Do people still even do those things?
No, actually they don't. It's been a few years, but hey, that's okay. They also, have these neat newfangled things that, that puts a blue line on paper. Yeah, those are pretty cool. Instead of the old, dipping it in and then writing with a feather. Yeah.
So it ain't so. Yeah. I still do the dollar dance?
I don't think I've done a dollar dance yet. Maybe you did one last year, and I have none scheduled for this year. They're just.
So at risk of Mark Farrelling myself here, because I haven't DJ'd in probably a decade. So I think people would question my relevance. I've been too busy gallivanting around the world with Grammy winners. So sorry, DJs, I don't know about it. Exactly. The dollar dance was still a thing when I used to do this. But what I do know is sound. And you can count on me to help you with that.
That's what we're talking.
Don't count on me for, call Scott Favor if you need help with games. If you need help with music, there's about 10 million other people you can call. I think, don't Jay and Howie and everybody have a show after this and talk about music?
Yeah,
Oh, it's Big
Brian
Daddy
and
tonight, right? Man?
yeah, well, Big Daddy was first, and
Oh,
then
of course he was. Yeah,
it'll
yeah,
be
right.
Jay and Brian coming in. Jay, Brian, John.
Yeah, so talk to them about, but
They're
listen,
gonna
if
be
you need help
sick.
with sound, I'm your guy.
They're
All
gonna be
right, so
so I the wireless I came up with that wireless that concept, and by the way, that social area. I think as you were talking about that, I think in a situation like this when we're having a conversation with a client, I think that's a hugely valuable thing to be bringing up, because in my conversation with them, we talked about basically having a kind of an elevator level music all the way around. So there was always
mhm,
music. The announcements could be heard as we just talked about, but it wasn't going to be too loud because of older guests wanting to have conversation. But to up that game and to make it even better, as what you were saying, to run a bus out with no music in that social area, because that indeed is where the some of the older relatives are going to be sitting, because they want to go and have that under the shade tree experience.
100%.
So
Not
what a
everybody is going to dance. I mean, a packed dance floor is a badge of honor, and I loved it when I packed the dance floor, and I loved it when I could get everybody, involved. But
mhm,
again, having been a guest at weddings and being, soon to be father of the bride, I mean, it's that isn't the only thing going on, right?
exactly.
So I think this is really powerful to give people options, but I think even more powerful is the conversation you're able to have with your client where, if they're talking to multiple providers and you're able to say, I can do just announcements over here. I can send a different audio signal over here. I can give your guests this experience. And your competition says, oh, no, we're going to just blast the compound. We're going to do it all. Or if they just say, oh, I can't do that. I don't know how to do that. So I
Hmm.
think, knowledge is power. And I think listening to your client and delivering the experience they want for their guests is power.
Definitely, definitely with
And
that.
it's money.
It
You
is.
know,
Oh,
I,
definitely.
I mean, honestly, I can't tell you how many events that, I've won, whether they be corporate events or whatever, because they said, yeah, we talked to other people and they said, yeah, we don't know how to do that.
Hmm.
And that's amazing at the, I'm trying to think of a way to say this. It doesn't come out, sounding weird, but at the level that I work, I'm sort of under the belief that my competition should be able to do all of it. I mean, we're working at a pretty high level. So
Right. Yeah.
it still stuns me when companies with millions of dollars of gear tell clients, "Yeah, we don't know how to do that." I'm glad they say that, but it all translates. Is my point.
Hmm.
You can win work and more work because believe me, clients talk, right?
Oh
And they
yeah.
say, we talked to John and he was able to deliver what we wanted and he understood and he got the overall feel of the event. And then, of course, then it's just a matter of matching the technology to it, which is what we're talking about tonight. So,
So you sent me a couple of links, and I put those links. If you guys can check out some of the gear that Ben's talking about, it's in the description of the video. Whether you're watching it on Facebook or YouTube, you'll be able to see some of those links. Let's kind of go through. You talked wireless, and you mentioned, of course, some speakers and things. But when we're doing multiple wireless jumps, there's going to be some little nuances that a person has to be able to handle. Let's kind of go that direct, talk about that a little bit about how these wireless systems are going to play well together.
well, I think, the first thing is the reliable delivery of the signal. And one of the really cool things about like a stereo IEM system is we can also use it as a dual mono. So we could send one mix to the patio and we could send another mix to the social area
Mm,
completely independent of each other. And we can do this using just one transmitter and one antenna, and then two receivers, each one tuning to a different mix because we're pulling off each side of that stereo mix as an independent mix. So no longer stereo, but now dual mono and completely isolated. And there, just, I mean, reliable propagation is the key, right? And that's one of the reasons I really like IEM systems. They're designed to transmit stereo, full bandwidth, line level audio reliably. And they do an exceptional job. And you see post after post of people who bought these systems from us who said, yeah, I got what NLFX recommended and it worked great. But then there's also, people that are using basically inverted mic systems like
mm-hmm.
the SLXD35 and formerly the EW112P, now replaced with the EWDP. Yeah, that's it. Right. Anyway, it's in the link that I gave you. That's the new replacement from the EWD series. It replaced the EW100 series, which is being phased out. But those are, basically inverted mic systems that can serve that same purpose for us. And then it's just a matter of the signal that you want to send to those areas. And we talked about, again, whether that's from an aux bus on a mixer or, something like the Prime 4 has the ability to send multiple different music programs out of the controller, and just delivering the experience that you want in those areas to your clients, and really easy to do with something like an Everse or Wave 8 or whatever it's battery powered, so.
Sure. So let me just to follow this now. So we've got the in-ear system, and we have it basically set to have it can project out two different channels, we'll call it.
Correct.
So I could have one channel that basically had the music and microphone, and that could go to the patio, the tent. I've got my main system, and then it could go over to say maybe around the corner to the games. And then I could have the other.
Because you can have multiple receivers. Yeah, you can have multiple receivers receiving the same signal.
Nice. So then, we could definitely get things all situated so that I have, even if I had two speakers, one maybe closer or wherever, the two so that the senior citizen sitting over by the social area could hear that microphone very well, because that's obviously an important thing so they can be involved with what's going on, instead of, oh, we didn't know that was happening. And we don't want that.
Correct. Now, one question people always ask is, what about delay? And I think what, I think what they're talking about is the delay in the radio. They're worried about this wireless delay. Well, with these analog IEM systems, there really isn't any latency. You don't have any AD conversion going on, so it's pretty much instantaneous. It's speed of light. But delay is still a concern, and that is because if we think about the relationship between thunder and lightning, right? You see the lightning and you count till the thunder and you know how far away the storm is, and that's because the speed of sound is much, much, much slower than the speed of light. Speed of sound is something in the neighborhood of 700 miles an hour. It's about 1,128 feet per second. And by comparison, speed of light is like 186,000 miles per second, So it's exponentially faster. So we're not really worried about the speed of the radio signal. It's going to get there at a speed you can't even measure. However, sound travels very slow. So we have to be thinking about that. If I can hear my main speakers in that area as well as my additional speaker, then I might want to delay my additional speaker to the arrival time of the further away speaker.
Oh yeah, and that would make a lot of sense, especially like in this situation. If we were going to have that social area with the music, it would become very noticeable.
Yeah, it would get really irritating, honestly. So let's see if I can do this. Let's see if I can create a new whiteboard here. And it looks like it's loading. Are you able to see this?
Yep, I'm seeing the little dots there.
All right.
I'm going to just switch
So
those two.
let's say we got main speaker here and delay speaker here. Oh gosh, that's an ugly looking speaker. I would say good thing I don't design speakers, but I do. So, well, when you see a speaker shaped this way, you'll know why, because that came off my whiteboard.
That's the Ben Stowe version.
That's right. Oh, we saw this speaker before. Yeah, some new releases coming up here. By the way, this is Infocom week, so I've just been like dreading even looking at the forums, because just waiting for all the DJs to realize that Infocom is not a DJ show, and there's nothing getting announced that they're gonna like. So everybody's like, oh, Electro Voice is announcing 12 new products. Yep, none of them for you. So just keep moving. All right. So yep. Anyway, I'll save you the misery. Don't look. None of them are for you. So anyway, let's say that this, for easy math, is 100 feet. And this distance here is somewhat irrelevant for now, because we're really concerned with holding this sound here back until this sound has time to get there. And it's approximately 0.89 milliseconds a foot. So, some easy math, we just take 100 times, 0.89. Well, actually, we don't even have to do that. We used examples like the Everse. I got to fix my speaker. It's bugging me. That's just a funky horn design or something.
There you go.
inside the eVerse, we don't even have to know that 0.89 milliseconds a foot. We can just go in here and it's going to say, do you want, metric or imperial measurements? And in this case, we say imperial. So we're just going to go in and set it to 100 feet, and then it's going to do that calculation for us. And it's going to basically hold this sound then until this sound arrives so that both sounds get to our listener at the same time.
And again, when they showed that at the audio symposium last year, when you guys did that, and do so is on the microphone, and you were hearing the did it, and then all of a sudden you dialed it in, and it was like, ooh, that is cool. And it was probably only about 100 feet. I would guess it wasn't like 500 feet by any means. It was
anything more than 5 or 6 milliseconds is really noticeable, and it's going to get increasingly so, right?
Yeah.
And so really that's all we're doing is, this sound wave is back here and this sound wave is here. And we're just telling this one, let's see if I can do this. Oh my gosh, how clever could I be? Is there an octagon? No. All right, close enough. Well, oh wait, all shapes. Is there an octagon in here? Oh wow, there's all kinds of good stuff in here. There we go.
Yeah,
Hey, look at this. Say, just hold up until this sound gets here, and then you can both go. So you can both go together. I think I've probably outstayed my welcome in the artboard here, so I think we need to get rid of the whiteboard.
So let's talk about connecting to that in-ear monitor system, because many boards, DJ controllers have, of course, they have a main out, whether that's coming out, XLR is very common with that, and then they'll have a 1/4-inch out or a second out that's the main out. Sometimes it's an RCA, but most of the time it's like a 1/4-inch also, and then they'll have a booth out. And I know on a couple of my controllers, I can go and designate what's going out to that booth out, microphones or not, or audio or not. How would you hook those two outputs, separate outputs, into that in-ear monitor system?
Well, while you were talking, I was loading up a website.
There we go.
Basically, we've got a couple of options here. Whenever possible, I like the XLR, right? I think that's a good option. So, we could just go in here and, you'll notice that this says both left/1/mono and R/2, because it could be dual mono mixes. So this could be mix 1 and mix 2. So then we have to decide, are we sending a stereo mix from our controller? Are we sending, that aux mix out from a mixer? Are we sending a booth out from our controller? I think the thing there is, there's all these options, and it just comes down to what is the right solution for you. But as you said, I think it's important too to know, what are you sending out of the booth? Some booth outputs on some controllers don't send out the mic, and you don't have the ability to change it. So that could be problematic. Most you can, but you're just going to want to verify in your individual controller. Of course, we also have the option of using these TRS connections. They say loop out, but they're electrically connected here, and it'll work just fine. But I don't think there's much to gain, because we have 3 conductors here, and we have 3 conductors here in a TRS connector. So as far as that goes, they're the same. I would just use the XLR. I think that's going to be the easier path, right? So I don't know if that answered the question, though.
Yeah, that's great. That's what I needed. Scott, one of our viewers here tonight, thank you for being with us, Scott, had a question about if we're talking wired speakers instead of wireless. If we're jumping back to the picture of the 100-foot distance, say if we ran that 100 feet with wire instead of wireless, would the delay still be an issue or be a factor?
No, it's roughly the same speed. Electricity traveling through a wire is roughly also the speed of light. It's going to be imperceptible. The issue remains the same as it was before.
There we go.
Which is the audio delay. And I think that in this case, the easiest way to think about the wireless is simply that we're just getting rid of the wire. But nothing else changes. We're going to use auxiliary sends or booth sends or whatever. And it's just a matter of how we get it there. Wireless is great. It can be done reliable, but boy, nothing beats a wire, right? You know. And another question that people ask all the time is how far we can run a wire. Isn't 100 feet a long ways to run a wire? Not on a good balanced signal. And I'll tell you a shameless plug, but our cables are fantastic. NLFX Platinum Series cables, you can run them 800 feet. I mean, it's that we've tested them to that. So
Sure.
100 feet, 200 feet, that's nothing. In fact, to put that in perspective, a typical snake going to a stage at a concert is 300 feet. So 100 feet, we're not worried about that at all on a good cable.
And there's the key is it's got to be a quality cable with the proper shielding. We've done shows talking about that and looking at that. And Rachel took one of them and whacked it into and showed that.
She did, yeah,
She
she
really
did.
did.
And
It was
and
good
you
video.
know, she made me break my rule because nobody gets free cables from us. We have Grammy winners using them. We have Hall of Famers using them. Rock and Roll Country Music Hall of Fame. You know, our cables are used by top level performers around the world, and nobody gets a free cable. Nobody even gets a discount. You know, we made what we think is the best cable you can buy, and we're unashamedly not giving it away. You know. However, also we have no paid endorsers. Nobody gets paid to say they like our stuff. If they say they like it, it's because they really do. We don't have any paid endorsers. However, Rachel made me break my rule because when I saw that she cut that cable that she had paid for, I thought, oh my gosh, like, you know, the whole thing was so educational and so, you know, poignant and purposeful. I thought I'm going to replace that cable. So I sent her a free replacement for that cable because I felt so bad that she paid her own money for that cable and then cut it so she could show you what was in it. I thought, okay, I kind of owe her one for that. So there's that.
Good stuff. Hey, Ben, I think we're going to kind of wrap it on that. We had good information. We got the things. Again, all the links that for some of the gear we talked about is in the description of the video. Go down there. You can check those items out and such. And if you've got questions, if you've got an event like that coming up and you're just kind of wondering what are some of the tools you need, give them a call. NLFXpro.com is a website, and you can go find a phone number, give them a call, and talk to the crew. They know what they're talking about when it comes to that because we didn't even talk about some wireless systems working better in different areas and such, and that could be a factor also, I'd imagine.
We do have some great shows on that, and I think if you if you look up like DJ NTV, Ben Stowe, why doesn't my mic work here or whatever,
Yeah.
that's a great show on that. And I just want to say, just in case anybody got the wrong idea here about this Rachel Lynch thing, if you want to see what's inside of our cable really bad, I'll just send you a little piece of it, and so you don't have to cut them because I don't want everybody thinking I'm going to send out free cables. All right. Or you know what? Just watch Rachel's video. Let that
Yeah,
one cable not have given its life in vain.
Exactly.
But if you really want to see what's inside our cables, I'll just send you a little piece, and you could do what you want to. Please don't cut our cables.
Just don't do that. It's a bad thing. So
I don't. Yeah, we can't afford to just be giving out free cables. So we put all the quality inside. So
yeah, there we are. So you guys can jump out to djntv.com/chill. The chill room is open, and it's Tuesday night. So Tuesday night music chat night with Brian, Jay, and John, and the guys. They'll be doing that, so you can bounce out there and watch and then hang out and talk DJ afterwards. And then, of course, we've got a couple more videos and things that have dropped tomorrow, and you guys will be able to check those out on the channel. So, Ben, in about roughly 2 weeks, we're going to try to do one more before the end of the month, if that works out for you, hopefully. So,
yeah, I always try to make it work. I mean, Tuesdays generally do, and I think that'll work fine. So
yeah, so let's kind of shoot for that, so you guys can plan to be with us in about 2 weeks, and you guys, we'll have the links in the Sunday emails.
by the way, by the way, was it last week you ran a rerun from like 9 years ago?
Yeah, back when we looked a lot younger, but I'm not going to go there.
I mean, my phone blew up. People are like, "You shaved." I'm like, yeah. I also got a time machine. Like, so if you see a video that looks like it's from 9 years ago, it might be right.
Literally, our very first show was 2014. So yeah.
Yeah, and listen, you guys, I really appreciate that you watch those. I think the content is still really valid, and I know that John puts it out there for you. It kind of keeps it fresh. So I just want to give you a bad time about that, John. But yeah, thanks everybody for watching. Thank you for noticing that I looked younger and better. And now I'm back to looking like the Crypt Keeper. So thanks a lot. But anyway, so whatever.
boy. Yeah, it's always funny when they're like, "Ooh, wait, you guys look different." Yeah, well,
Yeah.
9
I,
years
I
has.
also I also had one of our viewers. I won't say his name. He's a friend of mine, nice guy, who said we were watching. I don't remember what show it was, but he said, yeah, and this was before I think the ESA even existed. We had filmed this show before the Event Safety Alliance
Oh
existed,
yeah,
and
yeah.
he said he sent me some links, and he goes, yeah, you should check this out. I'm like, yeah, I'm actually a member, and
Yeah, yeah.
we got
A
actually.
later generation show or two, we've referred to them at
Not
the.
one. I have several of these
Yeah,
books here, but anyway, I just thought that was great. I'm like, yeah, it's kind of weird. It's like you go back and go, yeah, that was a
that was
while
a
ago,
while
wasn't
ago.
it?
Yeah,
So,
that was definitely a while ago. So, hey, thank you guys for being with us, Gus and Kyle. I see that you were with us tonight, so thank you guys for jumping in and being part of the show. And then, of course, go out to djntv.com/chill and hang out and talk music tonight. So, we'll catch you in a couple of weeks. Good night, everybody.